My Adventures with Superman episode 6 was very good. First of all, I enjoyed seeing Jimmy Olsen come a bit more into his own, be a bit more prominent and forefront in the story. I really liked his interactions with the two new characters, the French gorilla and the German brain robot thing. I thought those two characters were really fun, and I liked seeing Jimmy be able to vent about his problems to them and have them be very understanding. I thought that whole storyline was a lot of fun. I also really like seeing Clark and Lois work through their issues. I have to say, just to comment on Lois, she's a character that's been pretty much. It feels like a lot of people on Twitter have done a 180 on the character and they hate her now. This is where I stand on it. Do I think that the way Lois is handling learning about Clark's identity, do I think it's handled what, or do I think that she is handling it well? No, I don't think that Clark owed her an explanation. I think that Clark had a right to his secrecy in this instance, but I don't think that makes Lois a bad character. See, I find a lot of people and the way that they engage with media, a lot of people are like, oh, this is a main character, and they're doing a thing that I think is kind of shitty. Now the character is bad. And I just don't work that way. The way that I look at things are, does it make sense that character would do that? And to me, it does. To me, that fits with the Lois that they've built up in this episode. In episode 4, they built up Lois as being somebody that is very insecure, right? She hates people lying to her for her own good. She hates that. She talks about the bad history that she's had with her dad because her dad lied to her about her mom's sickness or something, and in order to protect her. And it's they built up this character to be very sensitive to lying. She's very insecure in that way. She doesn't like secrets. So to me, it makes sense that she had that reaction with Clark and his secret as Superman. To me, that makes sense. And I also really liked how in this episode, Jimmy came in and he had a completely different reaction to where I don't think that the show is saying that oh, Lois is right and Clark is bad. It's they're not, I really don't think that they're saying that at all. It's just different characters having different perspectives. But I feel like people are just unable to properly consume media these days, because it's I don't know, I see it happen a lot where there'll just be a main character that does something kind of shitty, and then they'll criticize the show as if the show and the writers are saying that shitty thing is good. I don't know, I remember with Velma, in the Velma show, she was a very flawed character, and it's very clear when you watch that show that the writers understand that she's a flawed character, but people just couldn't grasp that concept. It's have you guys ever seen Family Guy or Seinfeld, where our protagonists are kind of flawed? I don't know. It's just weird. It's just something that I noticed. But either way, the other thing I wanted to address about the show, it is very horny, and the horniness is starting to. I mean, I'm not complaining, but the horniness is starting to get very extreme. The way that they made Clark shirtless for the entire episode. It's just so absurd. It's how many times have we seen him get shot by with lasers or whatever? Or I guess, to be fair, he's normally wearing his Superman suit. But even in the first episode, he's not wearing his Superman suit, and he gets shot with a bunch of lasers. But in this episode, he gets shot with a laser, and his shirt just disintegrates, because they can't possibly go through an episode without there being a really hot moment between Lois and Clark. It's the way that Clark was carrying Lois, and then he fell to the ground and she landed on top of him. It is so just absurd, but you know what? I love it. Don't change My Adventures with Superman. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the episode. I personally don't mind the way that they're writing the characters. Like I said, just because a character is flawed doesn't make her poorly written. You have to look at how they've built that character up to be and whether or not their actions make sense for the characters. In my opinion, it makes sense that for Lois to be reacting to Clark's secret identity the way that she is reacting. Oh, and also to address one other thing, the main thing that I was personally worried about in the last episode was, is Clark revealing his identity too soon in the story? I think I'm overall okay with it, especially the way that this episode ends, because we have to remember the show is called My Adventures with Superman. It's not called My Adventures with Clark Kent. So I'm okay with the fact that Lois and Jimmy know. So now it is about their adventures with Superman. If that ends up being sort of the theme of the show and sort of what the show is about, then I think I'm okay with it. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video.